What's going on with me? I can't get these images out of my mind. Those black creatures. How do they know me? Who was I before this? What?
Shadow, you seem troubled.
You!
Look.
That's the...
Yes, that's right. The space colony Ark. 50 years ago.
The Ark? 50 years ago? That's... me.
That's right. This will remind you what the humans did to you. Never forget that horrifying image.
So something's worth mentioning though is the fact that the intro of this cutscene looks a bit different depending if you approach it from Cryptic Castle or from Prison Island. Prison Island makes the scenery all green, and Cryptic Castle makes it all red, so yeah. Some of these cutscene difference, which I don't know how to explain this. It was just there. But anyways folks, we're about to be moving on to the next part. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos of course. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Shadow the Hedgehog from the Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, and of course Xbox. But before we get this thing started, of course we're not to mention about the forms of the missions.
Please, rescue the others.
I've got to help Maria escape.
Take revenge on the soldiers.
So anyways, yeah, last time we actually did manage to completely done with the first of the stage 4 levels in Shadow the Hedgehog, and that will have to be by the forms of the Sky Troops, which are essentially all 3 of those missions all in one. And today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be exploring through my second least favorite level in the entire game, next to the ones we're going to be seeing until when we get to almost nearly towards the end of the entire Let's Play of this game. So because of that, well, it's going to be at the stage 5 levels, which I'm sure many people already know what I'm going to talk about here. But here we go on to the Doom, which is essentially the second stage 4 levels of Shadow the Hedgehog. And what makes this so bad about this stage compared to the rest of the stages of the game? Well, first of all, is the fact that, well, obviously it's a maze. So naturally, because of how the fact that we need to figure out where we're supposed to go in between each rooms, about the fact that we're actually going to come across into somewhat of a similar rooms every now and then, and especially noticeable by the forms of so many gun soldiers, including gun robots all over the place in this level, because it's pretty obvious because unlike in most upper stages, is that I'm presuming this usually takes place from the flashback after when, you know, Maria got a gunshot due to forms of how the fact that with the actual gun soldiers or anything like that. So, that is how the fact that, yeah, that's as far as I can go for that point. So, yeah, in order to actually access the forms of the Ark, or no, the Doom level, as far as I truly say for this, right, I keep on thinking of the later levels throughout, most notably on stage 5 levels, is the fact that we'll, mention more on that as we proceed on things. So, yeah, in order to actually access to the Doom level is the fact that you can either go to, as I said this before, you can either do the Cryptic Castle normal mission, which obviously if you couldn't tell by the forms of the cutscene logic, the actual cutscene, when you do manage to see the CGI cutscene, it takes place in a somewhat of a red-ish environment, and then if you manage to go to the Dark Missions Prison Island, the scenery is all green, so even then though, that it probably explains how the fact of the actual hint of what pathways you're gonna go to. So naturally, that's as far as the only coolest change about it. So even then though, it's just the scenery is a little bit different. Whilst other than that, the actual dialogue itself is pretty much exactly similar. So in this case, exactly the same. But the only difference is obviously the scenery of the actual scene, because if you know, represents the forms of the actual environment you're gonna be doing for all that kinds of stuff. Like, you know, as I already mentioned that before. Yeah, in addition to make this level somewhat of a maze kind of level, but it's also very slow at the same time, because when we get to the very end, especially noticeable by the forms of, let's just say on the Hero mission and the Dark mission especially, you know, most of the time though, we have to get onto the forms of the actual lifts or elevators in order to actually get up to the actual next section. But here's the thing though, is the fact that most of these elevators are super slow. And even then though, if you want to move things all along, well, we need to be able to cope with the forms of that slowest elevator I've ever seen in a video game like this. I thought it was bad at the forms of how the fact that in most of those elevator sequence, well, usually in some games, most notably Super Paper Mario, at least you can skip those particular cinematics where if you're able to hop onto the elevator or the lift, that way you can able to actually proceed on, see Fernando, because you don't have to see it. Well, the only time you can't skip it is when you get into the actual tower. I know it's been a huge decade ago since last time I've played Super Paper Mario. In fact, I'm actually going to be honest with you guys until next year. I think we should probably go ahead and do something a bit different for Let's Plays logic, but either way though, we'll mention more on that until 2020, but not right now though.
Maria, I'm glad that you're safe.
So obviously the normal mission is very simple, it's the fact that we need to get to the goal ring, but let's tackle buddy forms of those two tedious missions.
Shadow, I just can't leave everyone else behind. Please, you need to rescue the people being held by the gun soldiers in the laboratory.
Alright, so the hero mission in the Doom is obviously the fact that we need to use this little healing capsule until you're able to actually toss them at these little injured, I would say the research facility, people, the fact that if they got injured or laid down the floor, well, that's because you need to able to carry that little, healing container until you're able to actually just make it count. There are 10 of them in total, but, the bad thing about this mission, though, especially with the entire level as well, that, you know, it's basically a maze, and, if you get confused or lost in any forms of that specific environment, well, you can't really tell where you're gonna go. And what makes this really, really stupid is the fact that, well, originally this game was supposed to have a radar system back in during the likes of in, like a beta version of the game or something like that, but turns out in the final version of the game, they don't have a radar system, and to make matters worse, there is no map function. Well, unless if you try to find a map at some point throughout the majority of this level, but only happens if you find it on the wall. So, yeah, you just have to keep on, like, backtracking for most of the rooms until you're able to find out where the true pathway is supposed to lead you to. So, yeah, this makes, turn people off with the forms of this particular stage. Well, not as, awful compared to the second counterparts of this level, though, because trust me when I say this, until later on, though, oh my gosh, I'm not looking forward to the next couple of levels later, until in one of the stage 5 levels that we're gonna be able to tackle through at this point. Oh jeez, I'm not looking forward to that, but I digress. At least the music is alright though, but still. But either way though, that's just how I think it is. So, anyways though, just like in the forms of how it does in Cryptic Castle, is the fact that we need to able to keep a hold of your dynamite block, and there's actually a key there. So, I did not realize I actually did manage to accidentally obtain that for the majority of this Let's Play. But again, I'm probably not going to go for every single keys of the entire game, is because most of them can be very well hidden, and as a result, it might take a very, very, very long time if you have the first time playing the game, especially if you guys actually owned the GameCube version on this, or even play this on the Wii nowadays, and especially on the PlayStation 2, and especially with the original Xbox. Quite frankly though, it's the fact that I don't suppose I've actually mentioned about this before, that apparently though, that the PlayStation 2 version of Shadow the Hedgehog also came out on the PlayStation 3 as a digital download version, but only exclusive for Japan, or in this case Asia countries, because I've no idea why they actually just about to release that exclusively for Japan on the PlayStation 3 downloadable version, as opposed to the forms of like somewhat of a similar purpose of the forms of you know, in the UK version already got Sonic Heroes for the PlayStation 2, where it gets like a PlayStation 3 digital download version exclusively into our country in the UK. So yeah, it's kind of similar from here, but for what I've noticed, it's basically just Shadow the Hedgehog on the PlayStation 2, but playing this on the forms of the PlayStation 3 controller. So that was the only difference on, you know, the actual between these two versions here. So, what the hell is up with that gun soldier? He just managed to clip through that cage. Jeez. Anyways, though. But again, that you have to find like 10 research facility people right there until we're able to actually find them. And it's gonna be somewhere in some of these little mini rooms, but again, it's all a maze level, so... But again, if you have a first time experiencing this level, oh boy, you're gonna get a lot of struggles with this level though, especially because that if you do not know where you're going, well, again, there is no map system unless if you really want to double check it at all times on the actual sides of a wall, which to me, it feels kind of a little bit more not worth it in my opinion, because either way, well, as long as I actually play this game from time to time, then I actually know what I'm going to be going through, but still, for the actual first impressions for most of the actual players out there who ever experienced this game, it's all when we get to the next stage, but in forms of like, somewhat based off from, you know, the CD-based level, which we'll get to that after the next level until, well, I would say this right now, I'm actually going to take a break for this for a while until whenever I come back to this until next Monday. No, I wish I was supposed to say about the fact that Piglet needs to be able to get back into Captain Toad Treasure Tracker due to the special episode DLC that he's going to be tackling through, but eventually at this point, I'm pretty sure enough he will do that until at some point in, I would say by the forms of the 25th of March or something like that, because, well, at the moment, I'm going to be focusing on, both things actually, or actually three actually, because of, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transforms I still need to able to complete on, and that's about it, obviously. So, yeah, that's as far as we'll go. So, yeah, this is what I mean. When it comes to this level in general, it just makes it incredibly slow, and plus the pacing on this level can get very, very obnoxious at times, because again, the actual, like, moving platform, even the elevator or the lift, if you want to be more precise, well, it just moves so slow, and as a result, I just wasn't able to let the level to end. But either way though, that doesn't even compare whenever we get to one of the stage 5 levels, which I'm sure many people already know what I'm going to talk about here, so even then I'm really like, not looking forward to that though, still. But anyways. And conveniently enough is the fact that Maria, she's going to be one of the hero type missions, and I don't suppose I've actually mentioned about this actually, it's the fact that this game does support 2-player modes, which I think I've mentioned about before, or maybe it's because, well, I was busy talking about most of the missions of this game. Turns out you can actually take control of the forms of, like, if you play this on story mode, that if you're able to play 2-player mode, the second player can control the NPC characters like Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Rouge, and Omega, I'm assuming this for this matter, and later characters later on. Well, you can actually just manage to take control of them by simply able to actually, the only attacks they only do is, you know, depends on what characters they would be using, even though it's hard to explain because I never actually experienced that for myself, because I just couldn't even be bothered about this kind of stuff. So even then, let's just go ahead and just go for this last part right there. Oh, do I really have to do this? Oh, shoot! There goes my next step right there. Yeah, the triangle jump in this game can be very finicky at times, at least in my opinion though anyway, because rarely do I able to actually, I swear I did manage to try to make it, but sometimes the game decides me to able to perform a much shorter triangle jump, but sometimes the triangle jump system in this game doesn't work for me as much. But either way though, that was entirely my fault for that point, so hopefully we should get this done. Okay, so there we go, that's more like it. And if you manage to keep a hold of that, then luckily though, the final research facility arc people is just right there, and there we go, that concludes the hero mission. It's alright, but not.
I will protect the people of the Ark.
But let's be more deadlier this time around though, because now we have to have a personal data against with the gun people for, you know, the dark mission.
Remember, you were attacked by the humans here. You know what you must do. Finish now.
Alright, so you know the drill. Basically, in the dark mission is the fact that we need to kill some of these gun soldiers, and it has the exact same amount of gun soldiers as the ones of how it does it in the hero mission in Glyphic Canyon, but except this time around though, it makes it 10 times worse because of how the fact that not only because the gun soldiers usually, when it comes to the amount of gun soldiers you have to kill, which are essentially 60 of them, but the worst offender of this is of course the actual level design itself, because Again, you need to figure out with the actual maze, which is the only problematic, I feel like, because either way, if you don't know where you're going, then you might be able to lose track of yourself. And also, you have to be very you need to pay attention to the forms of the actual cracks of the wall too, because if you do, chances are you might able to actually run into most of these gun soldiers, and most of the time you might actually just able to accidentally bypass one if you manage to speed things up too much. Because of that though, yeah, this is definitely one of the weaker stage 4 levels because of the actual level layout. And don't get me started on the missions themselves, because again, it's like a labyrinth of any sorts. But either way, when we get to the next level though, it might be very okay, but one exception, which again I'll mention more on that until next Monday, well, after when me and Pinkie Pie managed to able to did one of the recording sessions on Super Mario Party tomorrow for the majority of the weekend. So naturally that will be able to be make it a little bit more you know, versatile. So yeah, sometimes what's incredibly bugging is the fact that, you know, this little you know, refresh dynamite blocks that you can able to actually carry, especially with your healing capsules as well, by the forms of the hero mission, is the fact that sometimes it takes forever to able to let these little capsules or containers manage to able to load it up again, because I've no idea why it keeps on doing that. I'm guessing because you have to step off by the forms of the actual circular part, so naturally it just makes it a little bit obvious. So yeah, that's all it really counts. So yeah, there's not much else I can say about the forms of the Doom level. It's actually one of my second least favorite levels of the game, even though that at least the normal mission, at least it might be okay as long as you're able to memorize the actual level. But whatever you do, if you manage to able to continue exploring for this level, try to able to ignore most of the actual cracked up walls, because most of the time it can lead you to nowhere. So personally, I feel like it might be a little bit more, you know, convoluted and stuff. Well, not so much convoluted, but it's just disjointed most of the time. So, yeah, you know. And, I think that's all I can say about the forms of the entire level, even though the actual level itself, that, you know, is basically a flashback type of level, but, I will admit though right away, it's incredibly bland, and also it's very slow at the same time too, because, you know, you're gonna be spending most of your time trying to able to actually wander around in most of the rooms throughout this level, and also the actual lifts themselves, which I would say it might actually took me about 10 seconds until I decided able to go back up, because either way, well, from up and down as it is. Well, going down is a little bit quicker compared to going up, because going up can take goddamn forever to able to get up there. But when it comes to like going down, extremely going down, then things can able to get a lot more faster than the attempted will be. And also that, because we're actually doing the dark mission sometimes, is the fact that, well, we need to keep on going up at the higher level, just in case if we're able to... Oh, wait a minute. I think one of the gun soldiers just managed to clip off by the forms of that little lift, or the elevator. But we'll be back for that, because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some more gun soldiers on, specifically in this room, because due to the actual explosion part of the wall, so naturally we could able to actually see what's up ahead. So, yeah, you're going to be doing most of the time by the forms of, not only for the dark mission, but it's also by the forms of the hero mission as well. So, at least in the hero mission, that you only have to, like, help out 10 of those gun people before you do anything. But the dark mission, on the other hand, though, might be 10 times worse compared to the forms of the hero mission, because obviously you have like 60 of those gun soldiers or even gun enemies you have to destroy. So yeah, I'll take normal mission any day, because even then, at least if it gives you some progression with the forms of like some of those missing stages that you might actually stumble across, like the stage 5 levels, which again I'll mention more details onto that whenever when we're able to actually get to the stage 5 levels as soon as we can. So yeah, that's how it goes, obviously. So yeah, today was actually forms of the 15th of March in 2019, so I'm assuming we're actually in the halfway point already by the forms of the March month. So even then though, that can't believe how the days themselves is going ridiculously fast all of a sudden, because of how the fact that most of the time I play games and all that stuff, which makes my day time a little bit more faster and quicker. But hey, at least if I was going to be playing Kingdom Hearts anytime soon, if I get back into that Let's Play, then things can get a little bit more faster than they attempt to. So, And also that how the fact that tomorrow that the SXSW panel 2019 for Sonic the Hedgehog panel will be able to be arriving until tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that. So even then though, I wonder what game they're going to be bringing us to, but again, me and Pinkie Pie will mention more on that until whenever we get back to Super Mario Party, most notably on the third board in the Mario Party mode. So even then though, that should be pretty surprising there. So, but again, that's just how I think it is, so... Now, one thing I need to mention is the fact that in one of those guns, if you manage to able to actually, like, unlock them, well, I'll mention more on that as soon whenever we get to, like, the stage 6 levels, because it might be a little bit too early to able to discuss at this point, so naturally that's all I can go for here, and I'm essentially go all the way back from here. But again, the map itself is so darn confusing, because either way, if you don't know where you're going, especially where the gun soldiers is actually located, well, you need to able to keep on backtracking in between these different rooms, and well, the actual structures of the room itself is almost exactly similar, but the only difference is obviously the objects you're going to be able to pull off, like, for instance, these springs, poles you have to climb up through, and most of the time, well, it just feels very tedious at the same time. And also we got these little sharp knives. Oh god, that's even much more deadlier than ever. But I rarely use that just because again, the actual, like, the knife itself, or the sharp knife I should say, has a disgusting short range, because either way, as long as you have to be really dead on when it comes to near to the enemies and stuff, even if you accidentally run into them, well, again, just like in forms of how it does in most of those Sonic games, you get knockback every once in a while, which to me is kind of problematic. Well, at least in Sonic 06 doesn't have a knockback, but it gives you, like, stunned temporarily when it comes to, like, few seconds or less than that. So because of that though, yeah, that's one of those potentials there. Especially whenever you get to, like, a higher escape, or, I don't know. It's hard to explain, because either way, that when we get to the later levels though, yeah, that's as far as I can go for this point. So, okay, we only got 9 gun enemies left, so hopefully it should be done by then. So, we just want to get this level finished and over with before we move on to, let's just say, an average level next time around. So because of that, well, let's just get this level finished, because I just do not like this level. So, yeah, this gun right there, or this gun soldier right there, is very easy to miss, especially with the other one on the top there. Because if you accidentally miss of these two here, well, you have to backtrack and you have to go through that door over there. So, but again, that is very easy to miss, because if you're first time playing the game, well, you know, this might be your worst experience, your first worst experience of the forms of this level itself. So, yeah, that's as far as I can see how this will go. So, anyways, though, let's go ahead and... Son of a... Oh, I hate these guys sometimes. Even when we get to the later levels throughout, that those enemies right there always attempt to knock me off into the bottomless pit. Which even then though, I think is one of those stage 5 levels, which I'll mention more on that until soon enough, whenever we get to stage 5 levels as soon as we can. So, yeah, it's obnoxious, I'm gonna tell you that now. So, hopefully though, we've only got 2 more enemies to go, and Jesus Christ, I just want to get this done, because these slow-moving elevators, even the lifts as a result too, take absolute forever to get up. And I think that's how we can get for that point. I think I see these little gunshots here, or these little blaster shots. So even though there's one here, where's the last one? Where's the last one? Where's the last one? I see it! Boom! There we go. God, I hate that level. It's such a terrible level.
Now you know what true suffering is, you pathetic humans.
So now, folks, we're going to be moving on to the next boss in the entire game, which is going to be different, and that's a pretty damn bad rank.
Mantis platoon, Hedgehog reporting in. Primary target and the girl have been located. Acquiring targets. En route to intercept and destroy.
What the?
Please, Shadow, help me.
Humans, willing to sacrifice their own when overcome by greed. They are a foolish race.
Those heartless humans. Get out of my way!
Wait, did Shadow usually call them Heartless? Gee, that was when Kingdom Hearts came out. Anyway, so here we go folks, here's the next boss in this game, and this appears to be Heavy Dog. So even then though, this boss may actually bring back some of the music ever since in Sonic Adventure 2, most notably the Gunmobile boss music, as you can clearly hear on the background music. And for the most part on this boss fight though, it's very simple and easy. At least it's way more easier than the Doom level, that's for sure. But basically what we have to do is basically we need to keep on homing attack into those little gun turrets, which if you do that, chances are you might actually pick up one of those little, auto-locking guns, because either way, that way it will directly lock onto the actual gun turrets until you're able to actually just shoot them from here. So at least even then though, that yeah, it's not that much of a challenge of this particular boss fight. But hey, we, at least for once though, since Sonic Adventure 2, that we actually got ourselves even more boss fights from gun. So yeah, but unfortunately there's only 2 of them in this game, unlike 3 of them from Sonic Adventure 2. But we'll mention another one when we get to one of the stage 5s, which I'm sure many people already know what I'm talking about here. So that's pretty much it for the Heavy Dog. So join me next time on Let's Play Shadow the Hedgehog. Is that...
How dare you harm Maria, disgusting humans, out of my sight.
We're about to be moving on to Mad Matrix, which is the next stage 4 level, so see you then.